Dear future family, I think it is important that we always keep our core values.
The legacy letter of love, Bet 2.
Dear reader, in this letter I will share some values that I would like to pass on in the future.
I am 76 years old. I have been asked to write a legacy letter.
Living with the COVID-19 pandemic has caused many to reflect on what each of us holds most important. How is each member of a community both a receiver and a giver of wisdom? The Wisdom Exchange Project has invited the Boston community to reflect and exchange letters of personal wisdom and together create ceramic vessels to contain that wisdom.
About the values. What values are most important that we want to make sure that are continued? What I want to do is collect your wisdom, your values in these letters that you're going to write today. It's for you and for loved ones and for the future. You're going to write it on with an archival pen. It's called Lakata paper and it's from Nepal
Dear future self, I hope that you accomplish all you wish for and learn your full potential.
Dear future me, I hope you're doing well. No matter what, remember your values and strengths. Be sure to stay positive and keep helping others whenever you can.
Dear 17-year-old me, you have not been on the earth very long and still have lots to learn.
Dear future children, I want to say first that I hope you have taken with you the values I taught: generosity, dedication, perseverance, happiness, and joy.
I personally draw from the entire tree of life of Jewish wisdom, from Torah to Talmud and Midrash to commentaries, and especially important for me is the ongoing interpretation of Jewish text and Jewish meaning. I've actually done some lessons where people write their own ethical will on Yom Kippur afternoon, and I've also woven it into just study around life cycle. And again, I think Judaism does such an amazing job with life cycle, capturing moments in time that matter and are special.
Here to be the collector of wisdom. I'm really interested in the idea of wisdom. What's wisdom anyway? Especially after we've gone through COVID, that everybody has some wisdom about what does it mean to live through.
Listening to each other and learning from one another is the best way to grow as a person. Always be kind, thoughtful, and open-minded.
Through COVID, I've learned that to keep on going is very important. Even when times feel tough, persevering and keeping our core values will allow us to go through anything we want to.
I started as head of school during the pandemic, and I have an interesting perspective to think about what did we have before this pandemic and now what do we have now, and what does it take to hold on to the special things in our community and others in other communities, but what does it take to actually be able to retain what's special and important. And a reed, if you think about the Charles River or you think about, the Jordan River, you might see reeds sticking out of the water. They are flexible, they flow with the wind, and as the water goes down in a certain direction, the reed will go in that, and they live forever. So there's something about the need to be able to be rooted but not inflexible.
What is wisdom, or what are you curious about wisdom? I'm kind of collecting your curiosities about wisdom, trying to unpack what it means.
Something that's lasting, that it's knowledge and values that can be passed on.
A full
experience. It's body, mind, and spirit open to change and difference.
Dear Roy, I always knew that you and Judy were best friends.
Dearest Amy, the definition of meaning of life changes when you lose someone close to you.
Wisdom, such a daunting word. King Solomon, Hillel the Rambam, quote, stuff I learned the hard way, unquote. Don't let anyone tell you who you are. Don't worry about stuff you can't control. It's okay to not watch the news.
Before the pandemic, I was carefree, in reasonable good health. When the above appeared, the experience was frightful.
A lot of our programs are hybrid, which means they're on Zoom or they can come downstairs. All these different COVID waves, people have the ability to participate as they feel comfortable.
We're very diverse here. We have multiple different cultures, and yet we're one community, and this is something else that I really love about Golda Meir House in particular. I learned so much from them, and is how resilient we really are, how adaptable.
The pandemic has reminded us that, there is simply no substitute for proactive reaching out and human connection. So we saw clergy and school leaders and others just making phone call after phone call, reaching out to people who they knew were isolated, just saying, how are you, checking in. We've seen this weird phenomenon that I call kind of Zoom intimacy, which is people who, yes, we're through a screen, but we're actually spending more time together than ever before. The pandemic has taught us, just how much we crave connection. Our community has proven we can adapt and we can innovate, and I'm really hopeful that we will bring that innovative spirit with us as we emerge from this pandemic.
You and I have taken a long journey together, but now I must move forward and carry on without you and walk this path alone. Our hearts will always beat as one. We share a special bond in life and death. I am proud to have been able to call you my sister, as you made me a better person. Two halves equal a whole, and together we came into this world.
This is the heart I'm going to give away, and I'm going to give it to my friend Jack, and it reminds me of me being a very funny and caring friend.
Sometimes we think transmission means that the next generation is simply receiving it passively. And for me, the notion of intergenerational transmission is actually an incredibly creative process. We need to transmit it to the next generation in ways that empower them and give them the tools to continually create that knowledge and that wisdom, and ultimately to become transmitters themselves.
There have been all kinds of scientists working to put it together like a puzzle. We are going to make our own time capsule.
Raku firing for me teaches me to accept things I cannot change, such as the results of a firing, and finding beauty in the unexpected outcomes. I am fascinated by Raku because this process is one in which I become a partner in witnessing the transformation of the peace in the fire. I take it out of the kiln at 1800 degrees and put it into a reduction chamber, waiting in anticipation for the results. Raku reflects wabi-sabi, the traditional Japanese aesthetic philosophy. Wabi highlights the beauty of humility, and sabi highlights impermanence. Together, wabi-sabi allude to appreciating the beauty of the imperfect.
Dear future generations, surround yourself with love. Do not let the hate get to you. Know that the world is not always beautiful, but you can find beauty in it. Find love in the people around you. But most of all, find beauty and love in yourself.
The Wisdom Exchange Project has engaged over 100 people from ages 6 to 96. I have invited the community to record and contemplate the wisdom of their lives they wish to impart, just as those who wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls protected and transmitted their wisdom to us.
תקשיב הרוח שר לסתיו, פיזר למענו עלי זהב. זו התשוקה בשלל צבעים, הטבע שר געגועים.
תראה הים נשבר אל חוף, כאלף הלמויות של טוב.